programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS.
Reno with Robbie Robinson from the J Team. You're listening to the Inside Hour on 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS. So, real quick, just wanted to introduce Robbie Robinson from the J Team. He's taken over for Travis, one of the interventionist specialists for teens and adults. We're going to specifically be talking about teens today, and I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate you having me come in. My name is Robbie Robinson. I'm a intervention specialist. I'm taking over for another great intervention specialist who was here, Travis Sabadine. I've been working this job since May 2021. Prior to me having this job, I was a probation officer in the gang unit, and I worked throughout the city I worked in Lancaster, I worked in the San Fernando Valley, I worked South Central, Hollywood, you name it, I pretty much have worked it. The bottom line now, with my job now, my whole purpose is to intervene and to help a lot of these kids and even a lot of the adults get on track. Our goal is to work in the community, to provide programs for them before they get arrested, and if they do get arrested, by completing several programs so that they don't have to be constantly incarcerated. Since meeting with you, I learned a lot about the program, and I learned about some other programs that are around. And I'm really interested in your program, especially for the youth, because you have so much to offer. Also, the Sheriff's Department, I work under the auspices of Justin Dietz, who is the captain. He and I worked together years ago when I was a probation officer and we worked in the streets. And when he became a captain, we started work. I came and, I was offered the job, and I was more than willing to do it. I feel that I have the experience, but the bottom line, our purpose is to help the youth. We're dealing with drug issues, low self-esteem, but our main focus is drug diversion and to keep a lot of the kids off the street so that they will not get caught up into the system. So my job, working with you, is to help a lot of these kids so that they understand that there is not only hope, but there is a dream that can be achieved.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, we've come a long way here in California to look at substance abuse or any type of substance abuse as a drug crime before. Now, I like the fact that Santa Clarita is intervening in a different measure of looking at it as a more, how do we approach the community and help intervene and try to provide change rather than trying to consequence for situations where it becomes a lot more, I want to say complicated, right? It's a spiritual malady in a sense in order to try to actually get help. And dealing with grown men, let alone boys that grew up in communities, it's very difficult for boys, anybody, to really open up and ask for help. But some populations we come from, me included, I find it very difficult to ask for help. That's why I really wanted to bring you onto the show. I want to let them know that me and you are aligned on the same mission. Might have different ways of going about it, but it's the same dream, right? In order to help and correct some of the stuff that's going on, and look at this more like a sickness too, though, right? How do we help this community heal?
Well, first of all, looking at the Judeo-Christian ethics and the things, when you take the Word of God very simple and you say things like in the Old Testament, it says, my people perish due to lack of knowledge. And a lot of people do not have the knowledge. We have a lot of people who are good parents, who are good people, but they are poor in their parenting skills. They love their children. They want to be their friend. But, we have to have parenting skills to help a lot of these kids. You and I both know that right now, one of the big drugs out here, we're seeing people using meth and fentanyl, prescription drugs. So my goal and your goal is to intervene. Let me talk with you. Let me provide you with something that will help you. But what happens is a lot of the parents are afraid to say, I need help. The kids are afraid to say, I need help, because they don't want to look bad in front of their peers.
Yes.
So our goal, yours and mine, and the goal of the sheriff's department is to provide them with an outlet, and and knowing that if they have this outlet may be able to help them get their lives together. A very good story. When I worked as a probation officer, we worked in camp. The kids had to go to counseling sessions, drugs sessions, things like that. I was having dinner with my wife one day, and I saw this kid come up. I saw a guy walk up to me. He was a staff sergeant in the Marines. So some of the words and some of the things that he learned in camp, and some of the things that we talked about, because he would get up and run with me all the time when I was in camp, it paid off. So our goal, the sheriff's goal, is to help these kids, because a lot of them, they think they have the knowledge, but they don't understand the consequences. And the consequences of using drugs over long periods of time takes your life slowly. It's like people say, well, don't smoke. Well, I just smoke marijuana. But you and I know, Jonathan, the stuff they put in marijuana now will kill you.
I mean, I would say most of the stuff they put inside the new wax pens that are kind of like the back door, or aka the black market. That sounds so
Yeah,
corny
yeah.
when I say that out
Yeah.
loud, but
Well,
like the backdoor stuff is really
backdoor
laced with
markets.
pesticides.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They don't know what's coming from. A lot of it's coming up from Arizona, which I don't want to really get into the details of, but it is, and a lot of this stuff is laced. I mean, you can look at a lot of stuff right now. I know some people, not all of them, have been taking Pressies or whatnot and ODing on them because they're laced with fentanyl. Some people actually don't know. Some people
Right.
are purposely
That's
buying them
true.
because you're cheaper.
That's true.
But some people don't know. And this is another reason why I brought you on the show, is because for those people that don't know, we're here to help educate.
That's right.
Give you the knowledge, and if you're willing, we'll roll up our sleeves and help you understand what it is you need to do to apply it to your life and actually do something different, right?
That's correct. And you have to in order to achieve your goal, you have to take steps. Some steps are longer than others. Sometimes people regress, but they keep stepping and coming back. But the bottom line is what the Sheriff's Department here is doing, not only me, there's the VITA program. I think I might have addressed that earlier, where they're taking these kids in, and it's kind of like it has a lot of military ideology, but they're also teaching the kids and talking to the kids, having them do certain things to give them an education. And it's an ongoing program. There's a great deputy that's involved in it, Deputy Ferrone, and he's been doing it for a while. And I was talking with him about getting some of the kids in. So in other words, there are things out here for these kids to get help. And you have to want help. You have to want to change. We both know that a lot of people, no matter what you offer them, a lot of them are not going to accept it. But we also know that when you hit rock bottom and there's no other place to go, you start listening. When you are pulled away from your family and when you are pulled away from the things that you, quote, really like, the things in life, you start really thinking about it. So you'll get tired sooner or later. And you and I both know that there are people that are older who are still using drugs. They have not really hit rock bottom. But our goal here is to get you, before you hit rock bottom, before you hit the rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get you on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, I relate with the term rock bottom a lot, especially because I'm in the program of recovery.
Right.
But I honestly feel like the way that where I grew up at, I was already there. Everything I have is right now is because of recovery. But I feel like I started on the baseline of rock bottom.
That's right.
So it was normalized for me, right? So I say this because I didn't aspire to become a lawyer. I didn't aspire to become a doctor. Right? Those weren't those things in my community to aspire to. It was either gang member, drug dealer, pimp, right, or a cop.
Right.
Those were the options, right? And and back then treatment wasn't as accessible as it is today.
Correct.
Right. All we had were juveniles, halls, camps, YAs, and group homes where they're all institutionalized.
Right.
Today, that's not the only option, right? You don't have to go to an institution in order to get some help. You might have to go somewhere to talk to someone for counseling services, but you don't have to be in residential, right?
That's true.
And you're also offering some of these programs as well, right?
Correct. That is so true. And some of the best counseling was done on the street when I worked as a probation officer and as I'm working now, where I'm talking to people on the street. And I want them to understand I'm not coming at them in a strong law enforcement. I do tell them, If you don't take advantage of these programs that the sheriff's offering you and programs like yourself, you're going to be in a revolving door. And every time you go through, it's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher unless you just say, you know what, I need to get my mind right and I need to follow up on something. You and I both know that there are a lot of good people, but they're caught up in the cycle because nobody really talks with them.
Yeah.
You know, that grassroots talking. A lot of the times I tell the kids and even some of the adults, if you keep going down this path, these are your options. You're going to be homeless. Okay, you're going to wind up in jail or prison. And then the next thing, you're going to wind up dead if you keep messing with these certain types of drugs that are out here. And when you said the illegal market is so big, I know a woman said to me that she went to Mexico to get Suboxone for her son who had heroin addiction. And I said, how many programs? Oh, he's been in 2 programs, but that wasn't good enough. Well, because she was in total denial. And I'm not meaning the river in Egypt. She was in denial of what really was going on with him.
Yeah.
So not only are there drug issues, but there are mental health issues coming up. And we're seeing that more and more as I'm out in the street, and as what the sheriffs are dealing with. That's why they have these teams out here now trying to help the people, because a lot of them are not criminals, but a lot of them have mental health issues.
Yeah.
And so the programs like yourself, what the sheriffs are doing are helping. When I'm finding out, sometimes the kids are suffering because they're feeling the brucks of some of their parents who have mental health issues, and they're taking it on. And these kids get the treatment, they get help, and then they go right back into the environment. So aftercare is real important. That's what I do. I try and I speak to the kids, speak to the parents, and I try to be non-confrontational, but I have to be strong and tell them these are your options. Sometimes the options don't come the way you see them. But the options usually come if you keep using these drugs in association. My mother used to say, constant association breeds simulation. You associate and simulate you around people who are using drugs. Oh, I don't use drugs. I just do this. Sooner or later, you're going to get caught up. Mm-hmm. You're going to get caught up, and then it's going to be hard for you to get out. You can get out with good help, with good programming, with people who are really trying to work with you, but it takes time. It's a process. It's a process that people have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, you identified a very important part of all treatment, especially with teens. It's like it is a family disease, and trying to look at it like a family component and what do you need to do in order to intervene with a family. So you said it perfectly. You're seeing someone that go into treatment, they go to long-term, for instance, they come out, they go to IOP, and then they're back in their environment.
Yes.
And their job as their environment is called homeostasis in a sense,
Yes.
right? Those big words. I don't like
That's
using
all
these
right.
things,
I
but
know
it's
what it
called
means. I know what you mean.
homeostasis, right? And like it's their job to bring you back down to their playing level. Gang members, street level, parents, right? Their job is to bring you back down to their level. They don't understand change.
That's true.
Right? So, like, for instance, if you think about the back of a watch, right? And say a Rolex, they have 3 wheels back there, right? And you take one, and they're all moving in the same direction, right?
That's
to keep
right.
them moving, right?
That's
and
right.
our job, right, is to intervene, is to take one of these wheels, take it out of its environment, put it somewhere else, and teach it how to roll the other way.
That's okay.
Right?
I
That's
like
the
that.
job, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we take this piece and we put it back in this environment, right? Without helping the other 2 wheels. Their job is to get it back to rolling the way that it's already been rolling.
Of course.
Right? So it's important that we change the whole family dynamic, intervene as a family,
That's
right?
true.
And re-educate parents, right? Hand-holding, I think it's important. And I want to give you props also, man, like mad props, right? Like going out,
Appreciate
rolling
that.
up your sleeves and getting into the community and like getting your hands dirty, that's what's needed, right? Because I think there's a lot of like non-conversations being had by a lot of communities, not just here in SCV, but everywhere, right? About
Right.
we have addiction in my community, how do we approach it? We
Right.
need to get these people arrested. It's not all about that.
That's true.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not opposed to all arrests. It is what it is. But I mean, to some of this stuff, I am like, no, this is something we need to fix. This is a sickness,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah, you're totally correct. And when I worked as a probation officer, which has helped me with this job, there were 3 components: intervention, suppression, and intervention and suppression. And the other one slips my mind right now. But the bottom line is, I had a 3-prong approach. I would try to intervene. I would try to suppress, prevent. Intervention, prevention, and suppression. It came to me. So those were the 3. Suppression was my last means. I would talk to the families, like you said. I would look at the family dynamics. A lot of the families are held captive by the kid because, not because he's bad, but because of his behavior. And, the police are constantly coming to your door. Well, your son's messing up. Well, he's not doing nothing. And then you had people who were in denial, as I said, and who were big enablers.
Not denial in Egypt, right?
That's right, not in Egypt. And they were big enablers. So when I was dealing with that, I had to document. Documentation for me was very important. That's what I'm doing now. Is I'm talking with these kids. I'm talking and documenting who they are, where they're going, and recommending them to programs. But what I saw a lot of it was the parents did not know. And the parents who did know didn't see anything wrong until it started to break down the family. And then some of the parents were having issues, heart problems. They were having respiratory problems. They were having all this anxiety. So when your kids were using drugs or into gangs, it just brings a whole big thing. So people like myself, I'm talking to you. The sheriffs are sending people out like myself to talk with you, to see what is the core issue here. And then a lot of times, as I said earlier, it may not be drugs, but it may be mental health issues. It may be abuse. There may be a cornucopia of things that are going on in the family.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think the drug abuse or self-harm or eating disorders, whatever the case may be, is just really the symptom of the sickness. It's like having a cough when you're sick.
Oh, yeah.
We're not trying to address the cough. We're trying to address the sickness.
And there's a difference between abuse and addiction. When you abuse, you can take something like a pill. You take an aspirin. Okay, you start taking it. After a while, you get addicted to it. You abuse it now. And now it becomes part of your being. So, okay, I got to get my aspirin. And sometimes you've healed, but you get addicted to it. You get addicted to the drugs, all right? Now, a lot of the things that I hear a lot of times from people are, well, I had an injury. I have an injury, so I had painkillers, but the injury was so bad, now I had to go outside of the doctor and get something for it. And yeah. So what happens is, a guy told me he started smoking fentanyl pure out. His wife caught him. He was a grip in the motion picture business, and he started smoking fentanyl. And he said he would look at himself, and he said his friends would call him Grizzly. And they would call him the Wolf Man. And so he said, oh, yeah. He said, nah, it isn't happening. So one day after he said he was smoking, he looked in the mirror and he saw how he was standing and ground. He said, oh, yeah, I need help. So he came to his lowest point. His father brought him in. We got to talking, and we recommended him into a drug program. So far, I hear that he's doing really good.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. It's crazy, right? I can go on a whole tangent about the OxyContin era when it came out, when it wasn't addictive, and all of a sudden it's addicted. And back then it was a war on drugs, and now it's not a war on drugs. And the psychological part, 'cause I think I'm coming down to a couple seconds. The psychological part of pharmaceuticals, in a sense, really it is when you have a doctor prescribing it to you, you think you're better than.
Yes.
Right. And I would just say before I go on break right now, it doesn't matter if you're shooting up dope underneath the bridge or spilling wine on your brand new Jaguar. Hopeless demoralization feels the same.
That's true.
This is Inside Hour. Listen to Jonathan and Robbie on 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS.
Time for a car wash, but fearful of the scratches that go along with it? Canny Car Wash and Valencia Car Wash proudly use 100% lamb's cloth to prevent scratches and provide the best wash possible. Both locations use environmentally friendly solutions to wash and wax your vehicle, and they both accept all other car wash coupons. Give your vehicle the wash it deserves. Visit Canny Car Wash on Soledad across from Edwards Cinema, or Valencia Car Wash on Creekside Road behind Target.
The 4th of July fireworks are back at the Valencia Town Center. And like past years, KHTS is going to be broadcasting the synchronized music. It's a fun, memorable event for the entire family. So bring your lawn chairs, grab a spot early before the sun sets, and be sure to tune your radio to 98.1 FM or AM 1220 to celebrate the birth of our nation. The July 4th fireworks is presented by the City of Santa Clarita. Our music simulcast is made possible by our friends at Hestia Med Spa on Valencia Boulevard.
I love it.
Right on!
Your hometown station.
Robinson from the J Team. You're listening to the Inside Hour on 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS. We just left off a moment ago talking about hopeless and demoralization for a second. And I do think it's a psychological stressor when you're getting a drug from certain people, right? Rather than the streets. But it all leads back down, you know? And I get the fact of like the means of wanting to survive. And I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm better than coming from a community where I grew up at, because I'm definitely not. But I definitely want to be the advocate for change in a sense. Or not the main person advocate for change, but how do I say this? Like, I'm available as well as much so as Robbie Robinson. And I just want to say on behalf of Insight, like if there's any time that you need some help from us in order to come out and outreach with you, we're very more than willing to do that, you know?
And you know, I appreciate that. And the J Team is our whole emphasis, as I said earlier, is to help these kids and adults. I'm going to give out my number if, you know, a lot of the parents feel that you're at a road or a roadblock, or you're having issues with your kids. Excuse me. Thank you. You're having issues with your kids. My number is 661-607-2038. I'll say that number again, 661-607-2038. And that is my direct number. And if you call me and you tell me your issues, now we have to realize there's two things. There's an issue and then there's a problem. The issue is when you see it in front of you and you do nothing about it. The problem becomes is when you see it, you do nothing about it, and you allow it to fester and you allow it to keep going on. So let's get to the issue state. Hey, my son is smoking marijuana. Hey, my son is using prescription drugs. Hey, my son is drinking. Hey, my son is staying out late at night. He's coming in high. He's coming in, falling down on the steps. When I try to talk to him, I don't understand what he's saying. He's slurring his speech. His eyes are dilated. Okay, those are issues. Okay, now let's start talking about what we can do. And the purpose of the J Team is to get in there and to help him, okay, to give him programs like Insight, to send him to other programs where people can talk with him and get him or her on the right track. Alcohol is a real big problem, real big. It's just as big as drugs. But as you were saying, Oxycontin and there's all these other Xanax, and these kids are abusing it and thinking nothing of it. And they don't realize that they're killing the inside. They're killing themselves on the inside. Because you keep taking these drugs, it starts to break you down inside. And the only way that you get help is you got to stop sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, too, though, I mean, I think a lot of us, believe it or not, like, are hurt little kids.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most of the time when I'm at a meeting sharing, I'm thinking about kids talking to other kids, because
Yeah,
it's not the
yeah.
adult talking to the adult. If I was an adult, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
Because I'm still trying to learn how to be a man.
that's true.
And like, I think the hippies said it best, right? I think I've shared this with you before. And like, I think low-key in their guru mind state, like, I'm seeking a head change. Like, those words are magnificent for what drugs produce.
Yes.
Right? I hate the way I feel. I want to feel something different. How do I get this as fast as possible? And here I am. Boom. I found my instant solution. Not that, and a solution in the moment, right? And it may feel like it's a solution in the moment, but it turns into a fatal attraction.
Yes.
Where it wants to take everything from you, right? It doesn't want you to have anything. It wants you to feel alone. It wants you to feel sad. It wants you to feel depressed. It wants you to feel hopeless, like there's nothing else left for you, right? And we're both here to tell you that if you feel this way and you're possibly listening, right, that you don't have to feel this way anymore, and you're not alone. We got people like Robbie Robinson, you know what I'm saying? Sounds like a baseball player name, willing to go out and meet up with you right now.
Yes,
You know?
I will meet up with you, and and I work. If you call me, I'll set an appointment to come and meet you. You don't have to come to the police station. If you want to come, you're not going to get arrested when you come in. If you come, you say, hey, can you meet me out at McDonald's, or can you meet me at Starbucks, or can you meet me over at Old Orchard Park or whatever. I'll come out there and I'll talk with you, and then I'll just see what the issue is. And then as soon as you start talking to me, then I'm going to have some other people that I can recommend you to, like Jonathan, and some other people that I can say, okay, I see what the issue is. You really need to have some type of counseling. Now, it may be above my head, but I know where to go.
Yeah, and
That's it.
That's it. And once again, right, that's not the only issue,
No,
right?
no.
So I want to tell to the parents, if you're feeling alone
That's
and
right.
feeling lonely and feeling desperate, not desperate, but like you feel like you did everything you can now.
That's right.
Right? And you're about to give up, I want to let you know, don't. Like this is all, you're also part of the solution, and the biggest success rate for teens to get clean, sober, to stop isolating, to start feeling a lot more productive, out of depression, as well as stops eating disorders or whatnot, or help inflect. Because I think people that deal with these maladies deal with them uncurringly, and it's a daily struggle, and you have to learn how to just not do it. I want to let you know that this does not work without alignment.
That's true.
You know, we need parent alignment in order to make this work, right? And I like the fact that where I'm at, right, and where you're at in a sense, right? I say us parents, we use the parents as leverage. And if you don't have the power, we try to give you back the power.
That's right.
But if you do have the power, we try to relinquish some of it from you to let the kids choose a little bit too. But I just want to say it does not work without the leverage. And I'm one of those people that got clean on parole. Here's a little bit of self-disclosure. I got clean on parole. They needed to have leverage on me to get clean.
That's right.
You know, if it was up to my own device, I didn't think that I would die on these streets, but I definitely thought I'd do life in prison, you know? And I mean, I thank God, right? I thank my higher power in a sense, right? For Judge Kellogg and my public defender, man, for a chance.
Right.
And I couldn't have done this without these type of interventions. Even though I didn't think I wanted it at that time, I'm glad that I stuck it through to arrive where I'm at now. I mean, I've come to a place to where I rode in the back of a prison bus to ride in the back of a van that's called the Druggie Buggy, from treatments and meetings to driving them and now directing them. And if that's not a miracle, I could tell you this. If I had factual proof to give away to you, I wish I could. If I could place my hand on you and say you're done, I wish I could, but I can't. What I can do is get down, just like Robbie Robinson is. He's getting out there. He's getting involved. He's talking to people. I could do that. I could show you the way, right?
That's
but
true.
I can't give it to you.
That's true. And your story is the epitome of what it's about, because even and I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm toting a mantle or like I'm some, but you know, there's nothing impossible for God. So I mean, when you turn your life over, and there are a lot of people who go to God, and here's another thing, you know, it says the more, if you come to him, he'll come to you. God, if you come to God, he'll come to you, and he'll provide you with opportunities. So I'm not God when I say this, but if you come to the program you have, and if you come and you call me, and then we can sit down and talk and say, okay, I feel that this may be better for you. What I'm also finding out is another thing, a real big thing, is that girls who are getting addicted to drugs, they're being taken advantage of.
Yeah,
100%. And so you go to a party, they may slip a roofie in there, slip something in your drink or whatever, or you start smoking. Next thing you know, you're intoxicated, inebriated, and then you're being taken advantage of. And then you'll say, well, you know, then they will say, well, I was raped, which they were, because you weren't in your right mind, because you were around certain people. So you have to really be careful about who you associate with and the people who they associate with. So you have to be vigilant. And it's nothing wrong for the parents to say, you know what, just be really careful. Don't say, okay, I'll see you tonight. No. Talk to your kids. Talk to who are their friends. Who do they associate with? Once you find that out, then you can say, okay, then you can set up parameters. And then you can set up, as my wife said, you set up boundaries. If you don't set up boundaries, everybody jumps the fence.
Right.
Okay? So you set these boundaries up. Then you don't have people being abused, being beat up. And then all of a sudden you're waking up, well, what happened to me? And then when you sit down and talk to them, well, I remember I did this and I remember that. And you're looking at them, well, how long have you been doing it? Now you're talking about a whole nother thing now. How long have you been abusing drugs? How long have you had this addiction? How long have you been associating with gang members? How long have you... So it just opens up other questions. But when you come free with it and you talk to the people like yourself and come to, you know, like you speak to me and I'm working with the we can help you. Yeah. But you have to want help.
And I would just that's the biggest part, right? Wanting help, right? And even if you don't know if you want it, it's always good to have a conversation. And I like the beforehand, and I just want to like recreate the same atmosphere, is that if you do want help through the J team, just ask for the help,
and
right?
That's
and
right.
I guarantee you, Robbie's not going to ask who your connect is.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He's going to say, what do you want to do about your issue?
What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Where do you want to... Exactly.
And my number again is 661-607-2038. You can text me. You know, I'm having an issue with my son. You know, I'm not going to go on blast. I'm not going to put you on Facebook. I'm not going to go on TikTok. I'm not going to do all that. I'm going to talk to you one-on-one. I'll sit down and talk with you and then tell me your issues. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know what to do. There are people here at the Sheriff's Department and other that we can help you. The J-Team is here to help you, to get you to that next level. Do not feel ashamed or feel bad if you have had poor parenting skills in the past. We're talking about moving forward and getting yourself together and getting your kids on the right track. There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
And it's definitely better to put the feelings of guilt and shame to the side rather than the child.
That's true.
You know, in order to get some help.
Oh, yeah.
And just those that are listening, if you are listening, I'm not too sure. I just want to say, like, the really thing that separates an addict from a normal user is the fact, the outweighing consequences of using. If I'm willing to take on any consequence, right, let it be relationship, jail time, or whatever the case may be, to continue this use of some substance or effect that it produced for me in order to numb out, that's what identifies as an addict, right?
That's correct.
If I'm willing to go to jail over a dirty drug test, like, that's insane.
Yes, it is.
And the definition of insanity is doing the same old thing,
over and
expecting
over.
different results, right?
Oh, yeah, and we know years ago, and there were issues that needed to be corrected, but now the consequences, if the consequences for, when I say severe, if the consequences do not equal the rehabilitation, you're just going to keep going through the certain cycle. It is wrong to use drugs, because when you use drugs, then you start getting into that criminal element. You start wanting to, if you can't get the money, I'm going to start robbing, breaking into houses. Everything changes. But when the consequences years ago, if you were using drugs, they just locked you up and that was it. Yeah. But now, here you go. You have some intervention, and this is to keep you from having major consequences, you know? Yeah. So the goal is to intervene and to prevent. To intervene and prevent. That's the goal of the J-Team, to intervene and prevent. And as I said to you earlier, even if you don't have an arrest, but your son or your daughter, or you may be using and you want help, talk to me. Talk to me. If nothing more, I can recommend you. I can talk with you and give you some recommendations of where you can go.
I like it. I mean, I like it so much that it's sad, but also dope, right? But it's sad that it's only offered in Santa Clarita right now for the J-Team. Mm-hmm. I hope it becomes successful. I really do, because I want it to be offered in other inner cities of LA as well. You know what I mean? Because it's not, right? And
well, the sheriffs have always, even when I was a probation officer, the sheriffs were in the forefront of trying to help people. When I would be in South Central, there was always somebody from the MARC team. I saw another J-Team person down in Compton. And so when we would go to a house, there were about 4 or 5 entities there to help, you know. So sometimes we had DCFS if the family didn't have food or whatever. So I want you to understand the sheriffs have been in the forefront of this a long time. Now it's getting big, but they've been doing this type of work. Yeah, they've been doing this type of work. Yeah. And Captain Dietz, his whole thing is, let me see what we can do to help some of these people. Now, let's get real. You know, I'm not naive. There are going to be people out here, no matter what we do, they're not going to want help. You know it, and I know it.
That's not who we're targeting.
But what happens is they're not going to want help. But then when they reach rock bottom, we're still here. We're not going to turn our back on you and say, oh, well, we tried to help you before. No, you want help, here it is. So it's here for you. The sheriffs have this program, the J-Team. We're here to help you. Yeah. Even if you turn us down the first time, when you decide, okay, I need help, we're still here.
Got you. So what I hear you saying, right, is just because you're not going to places outside of SCV, that if they call you outside of Santa Clarita Valley, you're willing to help.
Oh yeah, I can. If nothing more, even though this is my area, if nothing more, I can say, okay, you know, I'm going to get you in contact with some people in Lancaster. I'm going to get you in contact with some people down in the San Fernando Valley, because what we're seeing now is not only, as we know, the drug issues, we're starting to see mental health issues, homelessness, you know, abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. And so even if, like I said to you, even if I don't have the answer, I can turn you on or give you somebody that can help you. And then I will follow up to see if you called them. See? So if I say, well, I'm going to get you in contact with somebody in Van Nuys, I'm going to call them and say, did so-and-so call you? And then if you call me back and say, well, I called them and I couldn't get through. No, I just talked to them. Why don't you call them now?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna turn you away because you didn't follow up the first time. I'm gonna keep on until you say, you know what, I did call them and I'm gonna help you. I had one quick story where the J team deputies arrested a guy and they gave him my number. He never called me. Never called me. But I took it upon myself because I was committed, as Captain D says, let me call. So I called him on my own. So when I called him, his mother answered the phone. Okay? Then his father answered the phone. I said, put him on the phone. Well, he doesn't have a phone. Mama. We're taking care of his kid. So she was going through all these changes with me. Well, you got to get on Facebook and you got to call that number. I said, no, tell him to call me. I said it 4 times and documented it. Finally, he never called me, but he got tired. And then he got into Tarzana Treatment Center. So I called down there to see if he was in. They never called me back to let me know. And there's nothing wrong with them because I know they're inundated. But I'm still going to check to make sure that he's in the program.
That's right.
Because my goal is, I said, intervention and prevention. That's the goal of the J team, to make sure that you're following through on it. And I know people are going to walk away from it, and I know people don't want it. I had a guy say to me, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want it. I was at the jail, and as I walk through and I see people that are detained in, inside the thing there, the holding tank, I tell them my name. I said, my name is Robbie Rahman, intervention specialist. Is anybody here, you have been arrested for drugs, One woman said, I don't want that. And I could tell that she was on drugs. I could tell that she was immersed. I knew she was on methamphetamine. I could just tell it. I don't want that, because as soon as I get out, I'm going to use again. No. Now, if I see her in the street.
Well, you're kind of you are the, how do I say this? You're the forefront. You are the acknowledgement that I have a problem.
Yes.
And
yes.
who wants to acknowledge that I have a problem?
Yeah.
That's a scary place to be.
Now, if I see her in the street, I will not hold that against her. I will still offer her help. Yeah. Why? Because that is the commitment of the J team, to help, to intervene. If they don't want it, okay. But if I see her on the street, because she lives out in this area, I will still offer her help.
Yeah. And I just want to piggyback. We got a few seconds once again, right? Is if you call Robbie, he said it himself. I would dare you to test his theory, and if he's lying to you, cuss him out, right? He said, I won't ask for any information.
That's right.
Other than what it is you're suffering with, so he can place you the right spot.
That's right.
Give it a shot. I'm telling you. I'll call him out as a liar. I want to know. When I'm back over here, Frederick's over here talking about Inside Hour. I want to know if Robbie Robinson asked who you're connected with.
That's right.
He ain't going to ask you. I'm vouching for him.
That's right.
And like I said, I really think what the J team is doing out here is a magnificent thing. I really hope it jumpstarts more of it for awareness for the community.
Yes.
Awareness for the inner city. That there's hope before jail, right? Because that's also an intervention, believe it or not. You know, and there is promises in our literature. You said it already. Jails, institutions, or death.
That's it.
And let it be a sober living. It's still an institution.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It might not be treatment, but it's still an institution.
That's true.
This is Jonathan Greeno with Robbie Robinson from the J Team. You're listening to the Inside Hour on 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS.
Your business sign is essential to getting customers to your location. Feathers can help you get your business noticed. Feathers, now in a new larger space with plenty of parking. They walk you through each phase of your project with special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will provide you a sign that you can be proud of. Your sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Visit Feathers online at feathersigns.com or go to Feathers' brand new bigger location at 26017 Huntington Drive off Rye Canyon or call 298-9442.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new product, My Slippers. They took me over 2 years to develop because I didn't want just an ordinary slipper. My slippers are meant to be worn all day long, no matter what you're doing, whether you're inside or outside. My slippers come with an exclusive 3-tier cushioning system that you won't find in any other slipper. It combines 2 layers of foam, including my proprietary My Pillow foam and a patented impact gel made from U.S. soybeans. My 3-tier cushioning system is going to help relieve pressure points, provide provide that micro support you need for all-day comfort and help prevent fatigue. Not only that, my slippers are made with high-quality leather and a premium indoor-outdoor sole that make them extremely durable. I personally guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable slippers you'll ever own.
Go to mypillow.com to receive 40% off the My Slippers when you use the promo code CAGETS. Or call 1-800-973-3927 and make sure to use the promo code CAGETS.
If you'd like to take your business up a notch, take a look at Elite Magazine.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, the Magazine of Santa Clarita and Elite.
I'm so proud of Elite. It allows your advertisement to stand out. We distribute Elite to 50,000 homes and businesses. You'll find us in 1,900 local hotel rooms.
Discover how Elite Magazine can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
Hometown.
Traffic report, simple news, weather, and lots of music. They pretty much play everything.
Your hometown.
From the J Team, I'm with Inside Treatment Centers, and you're listening to the Inside Treatment Hour on 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS. And I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to Robbie. I feel like you got a little practice in right now, so I think you take it now. So you're at bat.
Oh,
got a couple minutes left.
Oh yeah, I'm looking for the curveball. So
no curveball.
Okay.
I want candy. I want people that call you to hit home runs.
Okay.
I really do. I want candy.
And I'm
pitches.
gonna give out my number again, 661-607-2038. In my years of working as a probation officer, as well as working as an intervention specialist, I'm seeing a lot of work needs to be done with the parents. And as I said earlier, a lot of the parents, whether they come from whatever status they have, nobody wants to say that I'm not a good parent. Nobody wants to say that.
True.
We're not saying that. We're just saying some of the choices that you have made, may have not been right, but you're still a good person. But parenting, you don't come out, there's no book on, quote, parenting. You learn through osmosis. You learn from your kids. You may have 3 kids, and one may not get in trouble, and 2 of them may not get in trouble, and one just goes another way, and you're like, well, what's going on? What haven't I provided? But a lot of times, each one of them are wired different. Every one of them are wired different. But again, it goes back to who are they associating with? Who are they hanging with? What are the influences? Now, years ago, when the rap industry was real big, there was 2 types of rap. There was rapping and there was gangster rap. Yeah. And at that time, when I was working, we found out that a lot of the guys were claiming to be gangsters, but they weren't. They were SGs, studio gangsters. Okay, so they talked about all these things happening on the street, and some of them really were involved in a lot of things, and a lot of it. And a lot of times, in order to get what they would consider street cred, they went out and did certain things so people could say, yeah, he's a real gangster. Well, that's the same way in the drug culture, too. I mean, hey, if I'm smoking and I'm still hanging and I'm selling, they used to say on the street, I'm out here slinging or I'm out here serving. So what happens is you start selling drugs, and after a while, it's like, okay, I'm indomitable. Nothing's going to happen to me. I can smoke a little marijuana. I can do this. You're making a lot of money, and here your parents are looking at you. Where are you getting these cars from? Where are you getting this money from? What's going on? Some of the parents didn't mind. Some of the parents were like, oh, we're eating good now. You out here slinging them rocks, go ahead. So a lot of it has to do with the parenting skills. So with the J Team, with my experiences, with what the captain is trying to do is to educate the parents. Every week there's something new coming out. Every week there's something new coming out. So what I want to do is I'm just picking up what's going on in this community, what's going on, the drugs in this community, how I can talk with the parents. If you want to come to the station, you don't have to, you can come there and as I said, you can just come and we can sit down and just talk. I'm not there to get on you to say that you're a bad parent, but I am going to say, what would you like? What is it that you need right now? What can I help you with? What services can I offer you? And that's what I do. I have a lot of services that I can offer the parents to help them.
I like it. I mean, I think we have, how many more time do we have left? Like 7 more minutes?
Yeah, we got about like 7 minutes or so.
Thank you. And you want to introduce yourself real quick? We have a few minutes.
Yeah, this
Awesome
is This is Patty, your local engineer. What can I say?
Awesome job.
Great.
Loved it. Thank you for your help today.
Of course.
I want to just broadcast this again. This is Robbie Robertson from the J Team. I'm here to convince the community that's struggling to call him out if he's a liar. Give him a call. Find out what he wants to know.
That's it.
Find out what he could offer you, and there might be a chance for you to help someone else that's also going through the same things that you're going through as well. You know, for some long-term recovery. That's crazy. I grew up in a place where nothing's free, and this seems completely free. And all you got to do is the price of membership is just to show up.
That's true. And an old boxing coach told me this. He said, the freest thing sometimes you can get in life is a hard time. But here's the other one. If you don't want that type, if you don't want a hard time, learn to do the right things. I mean, we all come from something. All of us come from a base that we can speak from. I know that some of the parents have great stories and can tell me of some of the things that they went through and some of the things they've went through with their kids. And I know that a lot of them are smarter. I mean, they have a wealth of knowledge, but here, that's great. But what are we going to do with it? Yeah. What are you going to do with that knowledge now? What are you going to do with a son that's constantly smoking marijuana and you're allowing him to keep coming back and back and back? What are you going to do when a kid or a person has been using drugs and you're still taking him in? Yeah. And then you start seeing the family fiber or the family dynamic being broken down because maybe the husband says, no, I don't want him to do that. He has to learn on his own, but you keep enabling him or whatever. So what are you going to do? What services are out there? That's what I'm about. I can recommend you to some people that you can talk to who have the skill with that. Even if I don't know what to say, I know where to show you to go.
You know who to call.
Yeah, you know who to call. You know? So, and I know that there are a lot of dynamics going on within the family. Now, I also know, as I said earlier in our conversation, that some of the parents have no problem with smoking marijuana. I get it. For medicinal purposes, I get it. I understand that. But if you're doing that and your kids are doing it, that's a gateway drug. It's going to lead to other things. It's going to constantly lead to other things. They're going to start doing that. When I was working in the South End, a lot of the drugs of choice down there was rock cocaine, PCP, and marijuana. Alcohol was also big. As more I was on the street, I understood when I looked at people who were on PCP. I could see the traits. I wasn't a doctor, but I was in the streets constantly, and I could tell. They had this odor of alcohol, strong alcohol smell on them and on their clothes. They started talking in language that they didn't think that I understood. They would say things like, you know what, Rob, I'm thirsty. My homeboy's out here thirsty. Well, what he was telling me is that he's addicted to PCP, and it is clear as water. PCP is clear as water. Or I'm going to get a wet daddy. And that's when they would tell me, oh, yeah, my homeboy. I would talk to the people in the street. Well, what is that? What is that? Well, that's a wet daddy, Rob. What do you mean? Well, you know, you can take some marijuana and you dip it in PCP and start smoking it. That's a wet daddy. What is a Roman candle? I heard that. And what does that mean? Oh, Rob. That's when they dip it and they light it, put a little crack cocaine in there and light it. And he said, and it sparks. I said, really? So I started asking questions when there was no major problems going on. So that when I did see these things going on, I had an idea. I didn't know everything, but I had an idea of what was going on. And then I went to the proper people to help me.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in with us and listening to Robbie Robertson from the J Team. Mm-hmm. Once again, my name is Jonathan Garino from Insight, working the Inside Hour. I want to thank Frederick for allowing me to be here.
Yes.
Hopefully he's laughing at that comment right now, like this guy. You're listening to the Inside Hour on 98.1 FM and AM 1220 on KHTS. Thank you. See you next week.